Hey everyone, and welcome back to the channel. Today, I've got a story for you that you might think you know, but I want to tell it in a way that really brings it to life. It's the story of a boy named Jack. Jack lived with his mother in a tiny little cottage near the village. They were going through some really tough times. In fact, they had almost nothing left. They'd sold pretty much everything they owned just to get by. All they had was one little cow that gave them milk. Honestly, there were many nights when Jack and his mum went to bed hungry because they had no other food. Every morning, Jack would milk their cow. But here's the thing, cows need to eat too. And with no money left for fodder, they were in a real bind. So one day, Jack's mother, with a heavy heart, said, "Jack, I think it's time." To sell the cow? No, it's hard, but we just don't have another choice. Jack knew she was right. He nodded, put a rope around the cow's neck, and started the long walk to the market. Now, this is where our story takes a strange turn. On the way, he met a funny-looking old man with a twinkle in his eye. The man greeted him and asked, "Where are you taking that fine cow, young man?" Jack explained the situation, that he had to sell her to buy food. The old man smiled. "Oh, you don't need to go all the way to the market. I can help you. Give me the cow, and I'll give you something truly special in return." Jack was curious. "Special? What is it?" The man opened his hand and said, "5 magic beans." Now, Jack stared at these beans. Let me tell you, they were huge and had these weird, swirling colors. They were unlike any beans he had ever seen before. He was a bit confused. "What am I supposed to do with beans?" he asked. But the old man insisted, his voice low and mysterious. "These aren't ordinary beans, Jack. Plant them tonight, and by morning, they'll grow all the way up into the sky." Well, Jack was completely fascinated. The idea of something so magical was too much to resist. He made the trade the cow for the 5 beans and raced home, so excited to show his mother what he'd gotten. When he burst through the door and showed her the beans, her face fell. She wasn't just disappointed, she was furious. "You sold our only cow for 4 beans!" she shouted. In a moment of pure frustration, she snatched them from his hand and threw them right out the window into the garden. Jack was crushed. He felt like the biggest fool in the world. He went upstairs to his little room, his stomach rumbling, and fell asleep feeling completely defeated. But then came the morning. The next day, when Jack woke up, he glanced out his window and couldn't believe his eyes. There, reaching up from the exact spot where his mother had thrown the beans, was a colossal green beanstalk. It twisted up and up past the clouds and disappeared into the sky. The beans really were magic. Without a second thought, Jack scrambled out the window and started to climb. Up and up he went, the world below him getting smaller and smaller. He climbed through the fluffy white clouds until he finally reached the top. And there, floating in the sky, was a massive golden door. He pushed it open and stepped into a kingdom in the sky. It was a magical, beautiful place. But as he looked around, he saw something that made him freeze. A giant, fast asleep in a giant chair. Jack was terrified, but he was also starving. He tiptoed into the giant's kitchen and saw tables loaded with fresh fruit and pitchers of milk. He reached out his hand. And then he heard it. A deep, booming voice rumbled through the castle. "Fee-fee-fo-fum, I smell the blood of an Englishman. Be he alive, or be he dead, I'll grind his bones to make my bread." Jack dove into a tiny cupboard just as the giant stomped into the room. He watched through a crack as the giant ate his enormous meal and then started counting his piles of gold coins. As soon as the giant's snores began to shake the walls again, Jack scurried out, grabbed a heavy sack of gold, and scrambled back to the beanstalk. He slid down as fast as he could. Then, when he got home, his mother was frantic with worry, but so relieved to see him safe. And when she saw the gold, she was amazed. For a while, things were good, but Jack's curiosity got the better of him. A few days later, he climbed the beanstalk again. This time, he found the giant snoring so loudly it almost hurt his ears. He looked around and noticed a hen that was clucking softly. And then, right before his eyes, it laid a perfect, solid gold egg. Quietly, Jack scooped up the hen, tucked it under his arm, and made his way back down the beanstalk. "Look, Mother!" he exclaimed. "A hen that lays golden eggs!" Their fortune was secured. But still, Jack wasn't satisfied. He made a third trip up the beanstalk. This time, he saw the giant with a beautiful golden harp. The harp was playing the most enchanting music all by itself. Jack knew he had to have it. Belezi. As he tried to lift it, the harp cried out, "Help me, Master! Help me! A boy is stealing me!" The giant woke up with a roar of absolute fury and lunged after Jack. Jack was faster, though. He sprinted for the beanstalk. The giant's thundering footsteps right behind him. He slid down for his life, and the second his feet hit the ground, he yelled, "Mother, the axe!" "Quick!" He grabbed the axe and started chopping at the base of the beanstalk with all his might. With a tremendous crack, the beanstalk toppled over, and the giant came crashing down to the ground. And that was the end of him. After all the chaos and excitement, Jack's mother sat him down. Her voice was serious. "Jack," she said, "I'm so sorry I let you get into so much danger. It was wrong to take things that weren't ours. What if the giant had caught you?" Jack looked at his mother and nodded. He finally understood. "I know, Mother. I've learned my lesson. Blah. From now on, I'll work hard and earn what we need. No more shortcuts." And that's exactly what they did. Using the wealth they had, they started a proper farm. Jack and his mother worked hard, lived safely, and became very prosperous. And, of course, they lived happily ever after. So, what's the real takeaway here? Sometimes, life hands us magic beans, strange opportunities that seem too good to be true. The story also reminds us that it's about making smart choices, being brave but not reckless, and most importantly, learning from our mistakes. True happiness doesn't come from a quick grab, but from building something that lasts. If you enjoyed it, please hit that like button, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories. See you next time.